Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Zoe, I am 23, chronically ill, actress, plus size model, etc. Today we are going to be talking about my portacath, which is right under my skin, a couple inches under my collarbone. Now, excuse me, I am not a doctor, I do not claim to be a doctor. This is just my experience with my port and why I have a port. Now, my port is for my IVIG infusions, as well as my other medications that require to be IV. And due to me being premature and my hospital stays over the years, my veins in my arms are pretty much scarred, shot. They have really hard time accessing my veins through IVs. And sorry, I'm very out of breath because I just ran down the stairs and I don't know why I did that. But basically, my port has been a lifesaver. Now, this is a great tool for a lot of people doing treatments, chemotherapy, medication. Sometimes people do PICC lines as well. Now, my port, which is right here, a couple inches under my collarbone, it helps me basically survive. Not to be dramatic, but a lot of my health issues do require a lot of medication. I have a nurse who comes once a month or more if I need and gives me my medication that controls or helps me manage my CVID, which is common variable immune deficiency. This is more rare of a side of immune deficiency diseases and requires IVIG treatment. So I get fluids, I get Benadryl, I get Tylenol, things like that through my port, as well as the IVIG. And my IVIG is actually sub-Q, so I don't get my IVIG through my port. But I do get medication through my port, and my veins, like I said, are shot from over the years of medications through them and being a preemie, 2 pounds when I was born. And this isn't a pity party. I'm not a doctor. This is just my experience. And people ask about my port, so I want to talk about it. Basically, I got my first port when I was 17. I'm 23 now, and I was mid-puberty. I have had a breast reduction, so I used to be much more heavy-chested, if you will. And because of the way that my port was positioned, I had to stop wrestling. I was getting sick a lot. I was higher risk for things like staph and MRSA from wrestling and skin infections, and my port was a danger to myself to be wrestling with. So I stopped wrestling, and I woke up one day and my port was flipped. My port has flipped a handful of times, and it has had to be reinforced. So I have a port scar down here. Can't really see it. And then I have my new port right here. I got this port back in February. I did go a while without a port, but after a while, it was just getting harder and harder to do my infusions. And because of my POTS and all my other health elements and challenges, I do require, fluids often and medicine, ICU stays, things like that. So port is a real lifesaver. Couple of things with the port that I've experienced. When I got the surgery, I was awake, and because of my red hair, I do have trouble with anesthesia. So that has been a problem. Getting my port surgery awake was a little bit hard, but I have expressed my concerns, and thankfully my surgeons and everyone has been really, really receptive? Yes, that's the word. Receptive to my concerns, and I have expressed, hey, red hair gene, it's actually a thing. People with red hair can oftentimes be resistant or have a harder time being put to sleep or kept comfortable, sedation. Because of this, I did have some issues with sedation, but they did give me Benadryl and Ativan beforehand, so that was a better experience this time. My port has flipped since February, so that's why it looks like a fresh scar, because it is a fresh scar. It flipped about a month and a half ago, and I got it reinforced, so I think 3.5 weeks ago. So this is a new port. This is my third port, and my experience so far has been great. You can't swim for 2 weeks after. You should wear sunscreen on the scar too, because it's a sensitive area. If it gets hit in the car, sometimes they have cushions in the car that you can put on your seatbelt. But my experience with my port is sometimes people will ask, hey, what's that scar from? I'll say, hey, it's my port. They have a bunch of different types of ports for different things. They have double ports, they have smart ports, etc. Different ports for different reasons. And so far, my experience has been great, except for the fact that they can move. Again, this doesn't happen to everybody. I'm not a doctor. It's just my experience with them. It's not like I'm doing jumping jacks and circles and twirls and things. It's just that ports can move, and that's just part of having them. Obviously, if you get hit in your port, or if something feels funny, or you're not accessing correctly or something, which was happening to me, I wasn't able to get blood draw anymore, and they realized my port had flipped because it was kind of sideways in my chest. I am a heavier, thicker girl, so it is kind of harder. It used to be harder to see my port, but now with the new port, you can see it is under my skin. Sorry if that freaks anybody out. It's always been under my skin, but like I said, because it's positioned a little bit differently, now you can actually see it, which I do prefer because that means that it's also easier to be accessed. You know, when I get fevers and stuff, I have to make sure it's not getting too high or that my port looks okay and it doesn't look red or inflamed. Sorry if you hear the dogs upstairs, they're running around. But yeah, like I said, my port has been great. People do ask what it is occasionally. I don't really feel ashamed of it anymore. Like I said, I'm 23, I'm not a teenager anymore. But again, surgery can be scary. Incisions can be scary. People are scared of needles. The hardest part about the port incision itself was probably laying on my back for that long because I was a little bit of pain, but they do, you know, I like to communicate with the surgeons throughout the time. There's a nurse in the room with you. You know, they have pillows and blankets and things, and I was kept comfortable. You know, communication and asking questions is really important, for me at least. For a lot of people, it can be very helpful. So if you have any questions or concerns, write them down on a piece of paper and ask. But ports can be a great tool. And if, you know, you have any concerns, questions, ask your doctor. Obviously, if they want you to get a port or if you need a port, it's for a good reason. And I would recommend getting one. Again, my experience, it's flipped. I've never had a port infection, but you do have to be careful. You know, make sure you know how your port should be accessed. You wear a mask when it's accessed. I might do a video again on my port being accessed. I did one when I was 17, but I might do a new one again if anyone's interested in that. And if you have any questions about getting a port or what the experience is like, please let me know. I was a little bit anxious getting a new one in February, and the most recent one 3.5 weeks ago. But I'm really glad that I did it, and it's been a great tool. My veins can take a break. You know, it's not hours and hours of trying to get an IV with the IV finder and ultrasound and things like that. And again, in emergencies, in my case, when I have asthma attacks and stuff, it's good to have my port as an option just in case. And I do wear a medical ID most days that says that I have a port, so people know that I have one and that can be accessed. And yeah, that's basically my experience. Again, my name is Zoe, and if you have any questions about a port or what my experience is, please feel free to ask them. I'm pretty open. And again, please keep the comments nice. I've been getting a couple of comments lately that aren't the greatest. I do try to filter them out, but I'm just human. We all are, and this is just my experience with health challenges and everything, and I just want to be a helpful, positive person, and that's just my story. So again, thanks for watching. My name is Zoe, and have a great day.